fond memories. But right now we're going to get into a show pretty much dedicated to the update of the tree swallow project that we started back in the winter time. You know, Bloomsburg University, Lori Green, the professor, is the one that's sort of spearheading this whole thing. It started with putting blue tree swallow boxes out in certain areas. How are they doing? Let's check in.
So right now we're at the property of Ned Lauris. We're in Bloomsburg on Ridge Road, and today we're at a site that's a little bit different than the last site that we were at. First time we met, we were actually at the Murray site, which is a natural wetland. So natural just in the sense that it wasn't constructed. Nobody built it. The vegetation that was there had recruited there naturally. Here we're actually at an artificial wetland. So the Columbia County Conservation District came into this property about in 2007 and dug out what had been sort of an old, bit of cropland. They constructed the ponds, they planted vegetation, worked with some of the drainage, and have allowed all this biodiversity to flourish.
Well, this is just like the perfect wetland.
It is like one of the
pads. It's got just about everything I imagine. Why did you set up house here?
Exactly for that reason, because we came out here and realized it's a perfect setup. There's all sorts of vegetation. We were noticing the birds when we scoped the site back in, say, February. The other thing that's really great is that there's space, and you guys will see that the nest boxes that we have for the tree swallows have to be spaced about 90 to 100 feet apart. And also the tree swallows really thrive when there are open fields. So they need the wetlands, they really thrive with the wetlands, but then they also need a lot of open space also to forage and stuff like that. The other cool thing about this site, which is a little bit unique, is that right behind us, right past that brush line, is actually the natural wetland that was here before. So in the future, we could set up additional boxes and do maybe a artificial and natural comparison right in the same site.
So how many sites do you have and how many boxes did you put up?
So right now we have 4 sites, and in the end of the day we ended up with 99 nest boxes spread, it's about 20 to 30 per site-ish.
And how many are being inhabited by tree swallows?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have 2 sites that are doing really, really well. The Lauris property is probably one of our most successful ones. We also, this morning, we're sampling at a site over in Milton. It's the property of Marlon Tanner. And each of these sites have about 30 nest boxes, and we have, I think, 20 nests at the Tanner site, and I think almost full occupancy, maybe 20 to 30 here as well.
This tree swallow project has fostered several other research projects. For example, they are now collecting bugs from the wetlands to see what kind of insects there are for the tree swallows to prey upon. There
are little flies in here that I caught with the sweep netting, and actually these are the flies that the tree swallows will capture and bring back to their babies. And we know this because Victoria's had the good fortune of capturing one of the adults when it still had the massive bugs in its mouth. And you see there's all sorts of little bugs, probably a couple mosquitoes in here, but definitely little flies.
So you're overseeing this project for Bloomsburg University.
Yes.
Do you have a line of, yes, it's successful, no, it's not, we don't know enough yet, we have learned a lot? Where are you as far as the study?
That's great. Actually, it's successful in the sense that we got tree swallows. We have nests. We have baby birds. We have them at 2 sites. Successfully at 2 sites. The other 2 sites have been a little less successful, so we'll have to evaluate why that is. But to me, that's success. We got baby birds, and we're absolutely going to learn a lot from that. And then we really won't know in terms of our project goals, are there differences between these sites? Are there prey differences? Are there, chick growth differences? We're not going to know that probably until the end, closer to the end of the summer.
But it's heading in the right direction.
It is. I'm thrilled. We got birds, and we'll have enough birds to do some statistical tests, and so that'll be great.
So it appears to be working, but the person who's been hands-on right from the very beginning, graduate student Victoria Roper. In fact, her father actually built all of the boxes. They've come up with the system. The boxes are working. And guess what? There are chicks in a lot of those homes.
So this is box 2, and it has 9-day-old chicks in there. And today we're going to go ahead and weigh them. We're going to do some measurements on them and see how they're doing. They're progressing fabulously. And yeah, we're going to check them out.
So tell me, that these were not on when we first came. What is that, and what's on top of these things?
So this is a predator guard. It's a baffle. We have two sizes, 8-inch and 6-inch, and pretty much it deters snakes will try to go underneath it. Raccoons can't climb it. Against cats, I mean, this is kind of like one size fits all for your predator guard. And then this is actually a sparrow spooker. So unfortunately, house sparrows are invasive, and they actually kill tree swallows.
Okay.
So tree swallows are our native birds we're trying to protect, and unfortunately house sparrows have kind of, you know, came on the scene, and so unfortunately house sparrows will come and try to take the nest box from the tree swallows by killing them and the babies. They're not very big, but yeah, this is 9 days. So their eyes, I know, their eyes start to open at 8 to 11 days, and you kind of want to keep them in the shade, because they, you know, their skin is just really fragile right now.
The big lips make it look like a cartoon.
Yeah.
Figure.
It's to gape, you know, that's how they signal to the parents they're hungry. So pretty much the most important thing on their body in a way is their mouths.
And they open them
gape.
up and, right, okay.
Yeah, sometimes when we come to the nest box, they'll actually gape for us, and unfortunately...
You mean when I'm sticking a cut of pizza in my mouth, I'm actually gaping? Is that
yes,
it? Okay.
that's exactly it. And so at 9 days, they can actually start to crawl, so you can see a little correction.
Sure.
So, and we'll take,
cool.
I'm going to take 2 out, let's see.
How can I hold one?
Sure, come over here.
Okay. How do you know they're 9 days old? I mean, were you here like the day that they actually had eggs, or?
Yes. So I've been monitoring every single box from nest building onward. So I actually knew the progression of the nest building, the degree of cup size, you know, moving forward, egg laying, clutch initiation, clutch completion, hatch day, and then moving on we do day 3. So chicks are day 3, 6, 9, and 12. After day 12, we don't fool with them anymore because you can cause premature fledging. So that's the last day we can get our hands on them and kind of check them out and make sure they're doing okay.
Now you want to do this in the shade,
yeah,
right?
You kind of want to keep them shaded because, you know, they don't have their they don't have their feathers yet.
How cool.
No.
Is there any way to tell male or female at this point?
No. So, the only way to do that is going to be through blood samples.
Right.
You can tell, because they all leave with the same juvenile plumage. So.
Put her right down here.
Yes.
Okay, that's awesome.
I know. Today I'm going to go ahead and weigh them and measure them and see how they're doing, and yeah.
Typically, how many young are there in these boxes?
Normally the clutch size for tree swallows is 6 to 7. Our box rates have been a little lower. I would say the mean of our sites have been about 4 to 5. So we know each individual one based on nail trimmings. So we'll take a peek. Let's see.
So you trimmed a nail?
Yes, I trimmed the nail. This one looks like right. This one looks like left 3.
After the first 2 were processed, we returned to the box to gather a few more.
So as you can see, so this nest, she still has 2 eggs. So
is that the eggs?
Yep, so these are the eggs, and these didn't hatch. So I'm going to take them with me today. I kept them in a little longer.
A little bit more so I can see those.
There you go.
So they're definitely not going to hatch.
No, these are 9-day-old chicks. After pretty much the 4 to 5 days, you know, take the eggs out because they're definitely not going to hatch. I kept them in a little longer because I did have one that hatched 3 days after.
After the rest of them?
After the rest. So, I mean, I keep them in a little longer. But, yeah, so those eggs, they might not be fertile. You don't know. We're going to preserve them and see what stage in development there was. So we can kind of just keep track of that.
When I look at this wetlands and I see all these tree swallows, they would not have been here if it wasn't for your project. or more than likely they would not have been here.
Yeah.
That's got to feel pretty cool.
Yeah, no, definitely. This site, when I designed and created this project, I never thought in a million years I would get the occupancy rate I'm getting. We're getting 70% our first season, and so it's great. I mean, we're providing a place, a safe place for them to nest. Their nestlings are going to fledge, they will migrate, and they will return next season, coming back home and kind of start the process all over again. Tree swallows have a very short lifespan in the wild. It's only 1 to 2 years. So if you think about it, they only have 2 chances to have a family. So it's like, it means the world to them, you know, to do that.
Congratulations.
I know, thank you.
Congratulations. Every day she goes and checks these 3-day-old chicks, 6, 12, watching them fledge. It's a great project. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to band a few birds and look at an adult tree swallow. Welcome back to Pennsylvania Outdoor Life. You know, Lori and Victoria need some help from time to time because they need a professionally, federally licensed bander. Now, who is that? Clay Corbin. He's also a professor of biology, an ornithologist at Bloomsburg University. He showed up to do a lot of other little things to our baby tree swallows.
There are a lot of tree swallows out here. I was impressed the first time I came out here, and Victoria's project, you know, is just sort of helping these guys along. There are a lot of birds out here, and that's a really good sign that at least the connection between the aquatic habitat and the terrestrial habitat's a good one.
It's working.
It's working. So these birds are 12 days old. Is that right?
11 and 12. There's one that's 11.
Much more feathers on this one than the other ones. Much more, many more feathers. They even have beaks. So these are the oldest ones on this site.
And this is our first box. This is out of all our sites. These were the first ones that I had.
Oh, so you need to leave one in there.
Always leave one in.
You go back.
There you go.
Thank you.
These chicks were taken under the tent to be processed. Victoria takes all of the usual measurements, and then it's on to drawing a little blood.
So in order to figure out where these birds are getting their food, we're going to get some blood from the chicks, and the proteins in the blood are going to be reflect whether or not these insects are coming from an aquatic habitat or from the surrounding terrestrial habitat.
All right, my big question is, how do you get blood from a 12-day-old chick?
So there's a little vein on the arm that we can draw a little blood from, and we can take just a little bit of blood and we can do genetics on it. We can do these isotopes. We can figure out a lot about the biology of this bird based on just a tiny bit of blood.
You know, my obvious question to be an antagonist is why?
Yeah, so you know, the birds might go through a little bit of discomfort, but as far as trying to conserve the species, we think that the little bit of discomfort for 1 or 2 birds, the cost of that is outweighed by the benefits of the conservation of the species. Yep, looks good. Nice job.
So now we just need to band them.
All right. So let me give you a band number for this one.
So it doesn't matter what leg you're putting on, Clay, or?
I generally put it on the left leg.
And that's a small band.
It is a small band. It fits nicely around the tarsus of that bird. We are also going to band these birds with a USGS aluminum leg band, and so if these birds ever get caught again, we can tell at least how old this bird is and what kind of condition it was in when it was first caught.
And that you need all kinds of permits for, and you're the permitted guy here on the station, right?
That's correct. Yes, I have federal and state permits and local permission.
We were lucky enough to be able to see an adult up close. This is an adult?
This is an adult tree swallow.
Okay, and how can you tell that?
So we can tell it's an adult, well, simply because of the size and because of the plumage. If I can get the hold of the legs here. So this is a female.
Okay, and
adult.
You know that because of how?
Generally, the males will be a little more iridescent on the back and have a higher contrast between the back of the bird and the front of the bird.
Okay. But I do see some bluish or purplish in there, right?
Right. So this is a second-year bird,
Okay.
and then so next year this female should be very close in plumage to the male. They retain that gray stripe right above the bill.
So almost definitely a nester, right? Laid eggs and sitting on a nest?
Cavity nesting bird, yeah. So they like the nest boxes.
Well, that's just a beautiful bird.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been seeing flying around here and the reason why the study's going on.
That's right. And if you look at the front, if you look at the face there, you have a little mask around the eyes.
Oh, yeah.
And the bill is very flat and wide. It's great for catching insects. It's like having a catcher's mitt on the end of your head there.
Oh, awesome bird. And you're going to process this and then put it back in the box,
We're going
right?
to ban this bird, and then we're going to release it.
And it'll find its box easy, right?
That's right.
Cool.
That's right.
Thank you.
You bet.
Well, we promised you a follow-up. There it is from beginning to end, and now it's just a matter of hoping that the rest of the season continues to be nice to those birds. You can follow that on Instagram at Tree Swallow Project. Always updating it, and good luck, Victoria, with the rest of your summer.